instead.
Yeah, I thought it was BAR.
Somebody will have to go through that number.
Oh, and then
when
what
we
is-
get there.
yes.
Well,
That-
Steph can fix that up when she's
That's
done.
grant.
She will.
That's-
And what is the
that's
grant?
The grant.
The grant
The
award.
number-
That's for
the
number
second-
5.2.
5.2.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
Then we have to talk about whether Jackie's gonna stay with us or not.
Well, Gary,
better.
that's not an agenda item.
Oh, well, could be.
That's a get her in the door item.
Give me the bar.
Okay, so,
Let me take it a drink.
approval of the agenda as amended.
I think that idea. Yeah.
Thank you, David, and
I second
Allison, thank you, all in favor, thank you. Adoption of the minutes, everybody had a chance to squeeze through those, any objections
No objections.
or parts left out?
I
Move.
forgot to do a few things, but other than that.
No. So move to adopt,
I move to adopt.
thank you, Jackie, and a second. Good, thanks, David, all in favor, thank you. All right. Public comments we are not gonna have,
Well, there's nobody here.
that's correct. So, action items, review of the action items. Put that over to you.
We're on page 6.
Yep.
Sure, so that was me for number 1, include high-level work plans and recovery report on the council agenda for its information, that was done.
Thank you.
Allison was going to consult with Transportation Advisory Committee, Ely Allen, regarding posting community center information.
We went
on
back
the
and forth, and
ferry.
I think she can do it, but I just need to get her the stuff, and of course, I totally forgot to ask you to give me a hard copy to give her. And then they had the mail drop, so I assume there's some extra hard copies you can give me today that I can give her.
Yes.
Yeah, we have not done a mail drop.
Well, I got something in my mailbox.
Oh, here,
Yeah, no, I did that.
not the island.
Yeah.
Oh, that was here,
Oh,
I
yes.
I just know it was in a pile of stuff,
Yeah.
I arrived
Oh,
home with
yeah.
me one day,
Okay,
so
no.
whether it was out of the mailbox or in here was.
Okay.
Okay.
You were also gonna take photos of the ferry board and share with committee members?
That was, I think, so we could ask where it was gonna go, but
Oh,
after
okay.
the conversations with her, I think she's gonna try and figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
2
that
and 3 are
done?
both ongoing then?
2 and 3 are ongoing.
Well, 3 is up to Ellie, really.
Maybe you can report back about it next time.
So I'll just tell you where she's put it when she puts it up.
4, Hope did talk to the inspector of municipalities to see how long it would take from grant announcement to approval of our loan authorization bylaw, and the answer is still 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
On top, oh, so he hasn't even looked at it, and that's the implication.
Well, we did pull it quite quickly after we got
We
it.
did.
We didn't pull it, he pulled it.
We
Well, we
requested.
requested it to be pulled very
Oh.
quickly after he had received it.
Yeah, because that, but he'd asked that we all do that, I think, didn't he? I mean, we didn't actually pull our application, I thought they were
No,
putting
we
it
just
on hold.
put it on hold, yeah, we
Yeah.
asked for it to be on hold. And number 5, Gary was going to speak with the artist about exchanging her donation, which has happened.
That's indeed, yes.
And I think there's 6 votes, not 5, right?
No, it's
There are
fine.
5,
Oh,
We
so
saw
there's 3 here.
and 2 at the Cove Conference.
Oh, I thought I'd seen 3 in the.
Very cute.
They're
All right,
very-
so that's reasonably successful. I think it was just the number 2 there that's
Yeah.
ongoing. Thank you.
Well, all I need to do is give her the change, so put them up.
I have one in my office, or I'll give you 2. I'll give you 2.
I want one in my office. No, I don't have an office.
On Tuesdays you do.
But you do
Yeah,
have a
Tuesday.
situation.
All right, so new business. And I don't know what happened to Raj.
He got, so Marilyn needed it.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, we'll just carry on. Staff contract recommendation. and
So we
updated
added-
work plan.
Federal
We have
election.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
so
sorry.
5.1 is now the
Federal election.
Federal election.
federal election.
And they dropped the writ today.
Yes, they did. Okay, who wants to speak in that?
That's really the only thing that there was to say.
Allison had to get.
I guess Allison did it. They did call the federal election today,
And they did.
our assumption is that we will not hear anything, well, we won't
We won't.
hear anything about the grant until the new government is in place.
And who knows how long that'll take.
You don't think they try to fire that?
No, they
No,
can't.
they can't.
Oh, they need
They
30
can't
days.
make announcements.
No, the government's
Once the writ's
closed
dropped,
shop
that's
now.
it.
Right, it's illegal.
They,
So they did make And the next thing on our item is those announcements regarding some funding,
Which is
about
the
60
table.
million of
Yeah.
139.
Now we're on
5.2.
It's mostly our indigenous,
Yes.
Yes.
brethren, yeah.
Well, no, it's not, it's three of those, there's Lake Country, North
It's-
Cowicks,
yeah.
and then West Shore, Vancouver Island. There's 3 and 3,
Yeah.
so,
So.
So that's what you have here in front of you.
One of them's at the Tawasin First Nation.
yeah, I know, but the first one's West Shore, Vancouver
Yeah,
Island. The second
West-
one's North Cowicks, and the third one's Lake Country.
Yeah, but the third one is Tawasin First Nation.
Yeah,
Well,
And the second one. So also just want to mention that I did check the website, for our application website, and they still say that it will be late 2019. That's
Yeah.
their
Okay.
reference, the expectation
yeah.
is so.
so I was just curious as to why they did these guys.
Why they did these guys, yeah, good question.
The Lake Country one is an Indigenous Cultural Center as well,
Oh,
so it
okay.
is.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting what they gave in terms of funding. If you look at the
Sumas
column,
is huge.
federal funding, provincial funding, and then applicant funding, which I'm assuming is what the applicants had to put towards the project. Federal funding, so if you do look at Sawatin First Nation did receive $5 million and another $1 million from the province, so our ask isn't necessarily an outlier if
No,
these are
not.
what's being
Tawasin First
awarded.
Nation is much smaller than we are.
Sumas got $6.6 million, so it's not like we've asked for something that's astronomically out of the realm.
No, certainly not.
So this totals up to $16.1 million of the projects.
Out of the 34, right?
Of the 34.
134.
Okay, but,
134.
but that's the other thing
It
that's
is.
interesting, because
I definitely
the schedule in the grant criteria is not for the number of grants released, but when they think the money will be released.
Yes.
So it's not that they're gonna award $34 million worth of grants in year one. It's that they anticipate they'll spend $34 million on grants.
So what we were
Oh,
told
okay.
though,
Alright.
when we did the application, it's basically, they may grant us $5 million, but that doesn't mean we get $5 million in that granting year. They
That's
will
right.
They will break it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So they're still looking for that total 134
Yeah.
announcements, but yes, it would be
That's what I'm
broken
trying to
down,
say, it's
so-
not
Yeah.
that 16 of 34 is gone, and once the other 16 goes,
I think-
we're out of the ballgame, so.
Last year
Right.
was
Yeah.
157,000, and this year it's something like 2 million for this
Yes.
calendar year.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of money, it's the next,
But
the
2020
third year.
was a big jump
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the amount.
everybody
Yeah.
starts,
Yeah.
and then
So
the biggest
we
amount
wanted
was
there.
in
Yeah.
2020.
So maybe
Yeah.
this fit that formula somehow, who knows, but it's interesting that these are the only ones. Yeah.
All right, so 5.3,
Staff contract recommendations.
We don't wanna just think about this anymore. Dwell on this, okay.
No, I don't think we
Move
need to
on,
dwell
move
on
on.
it.
So what we know now is that we do not expect to hear announcement till the end of this year.
yeah, December as we sort of anticipated.
Once the new government is in power.
How long do they actually, before they have all the swearing in ceremonies and everything,
Good
how long is that after the election?
How quickly does that happen, yeah?
I can't remember.
I don't remember, it's pretty quick.
They dissolve
think it is
parliament.
kind of
Well,
right.
it's dissolved as of
Yeah.
It'll
today.
be November 1st, yeah,
Well, the election.
October 21st for the
Yeah.
election?
Yeah.
It'll be November 1st, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I hope so. Oh, I got more notices.
Okay, so now we're back on track, would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, so it's, and we're working on 5.3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Staff contract recommendations and updated work plans.
Yes. So Jackie and I met and was talking about this is talking about kind of the additional staff at first for communications and fundraising, so staff that we brought on specifically because of the community center project, such as Helen here, and Riley and Kathleen.
The puppy dog.
And whoever this is.
And this guy. Very helpful. So Jackie and I had met just to talk about kind of what the priorities were in terms of the work plan as we move towards the grant announcement, as well as the work plan for Jackie and myself, given that, prioritizing a few things, given that Jackie will be leaving her current role. So on page 7, there is a work plan update, and this is specifically here for Helen's position. So just kind of basically showing what we'll be working on, what's coming up. Helen's been working on researching other funding sources.
Oh, good.
So looking at grants, grant opportunities, foundations, corporations. We have a community fundraising. We have 2 activities on the go at the moment, which one is the online bear auction, which we'll talk about a little bit more, and a drag queen bingo, which is being planned. And then also development of communication, read the grant announcement, newsletters, press release, and looking at open houses on the ferry again. I think that is something that was successful.
Yes.
I'd like to try and pull a few more of those together. Helen's also helping me with the staff, working with the Muni staff around the Muni offices and pulling together feedback that we've gotten from the departments regarding the staff workshop and how the Muni department will work within that space. So that's been something that's ongoing as an engagement with staff. These contracts are, so that's this one for Helen. Riley McLeod was also doing some backfilling for me, 7 hours a week as part of this project. She has left her position, and we won't be putting anybody in that position at this time.
Yeah.
And Kathleen has been doing some backfilling for Jackie, and we had discussed in terms of what the time commitments look like at this current time. That contract will end at the end of September, and we are suggesting to renew it for up to 5 hours a week instead of 9.
And
That's
that-
Kathy.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yeah, and that's based on the capital project and operational management work plan, which is on the next page, on
Okay.
page 8. So just, again, we took a look at what our scope of work would be over the next months from now until the end of the year. Also considering whether or not we've heard from the grant or not heard.
Oh, we definitely are gonna
So we're
get
we're on the grant unknown stretch. And so looking at that, and I just was thinking, is there, in terms of this management, if it's the activities on here, Shauna, we're also doing some more, continue with some design work. So I don't think that's on here, right? So
Oh, we're
just,
really
I'm just
in the grant
considering,
unknown.
I'm considering the work we're doing with Drew on
Mhm.
looking at some seating and things like that.
Right.
So there's some design work as well. It's very minor. It's just the ongoing
Yeah.
that we've been talking about. So that should be added to the activity list.
Okay.
And the activity that.
Yeah, on the next page, on the next
Oh,
page.
no.
So that's in reference to communication.
Oh, okay.
fundraising specifically, and the next page is more about the management of the project.
So really, at
Sean
this
and I
point,
were-
we're dealing with this column, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Grants
grants,
in both cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to summarize, what we're suggesting is that with the communications and fundraising, we need to continue with these activities and
Yeah.
Helen's time being applied toward those things. And then on the operational management side, looking at an additional 5 hours, not additional, sorry,
5 hours.
reducing to 5 hours to help support those positions between now and the end of the year, which is included in our initial budget.
Yes.
And again, in the grant.
And
Where are
then-
you adding the Drew work?
I just put under activities, number 9 maybe, which is ongoing design work.
Okay, and then the other two we keep down on the bottom.
And then it would be extending Helen's contract at the current 17.5 hours a week to the end of the year.
Do we need to do that? No.
Where's that now?
It's-
Where is it, what's the status of it now? Is it till the end of August or
Till the end of September.
September? Okay.
Yeah, September 27th was the current date.
How much time is committed with the economic development?
17.5.
So that makes.
It's 50-50.
Yeah.
Um, And how much do we put in the budget?
Well, that's a reduction reduction because
It's a reduction, it used to be full-time.
it was full-time.
Helen
so-
was full-time.
And again, that was within the
But it
budget,
was
so it
full, I
is,
thought it was full-time ending at the end of September.
the budget actually is over a 3-year period that we approved, so it's.
It
Yeah.
was
not-
full-time until the end of September, but we amended it because of the economic
Now,
development.
when I'm talking about budget, I'm talking about what Raj put in the.
Yeah, so Raj
Oh, yes.
put in over a 3-year period, so that budget is considerably more.
So, yeah, but he put in, so how much did he put in for 2019?
Probably, oh,
We're covered.
good
is what I-
question.
We're
Yeah,
covered.
we're covered.
But I've been working part-time since June,
Yeah,
Okay,
so.
so she actually has been under.
so
her-
we've,
Been
if we had
underspending.
stopped it at the end of
Yeah.
September, we've got.
We
3
still
months
have
worth of
the
credits
three,
for the
yes,
other.
3 months of
Yeah.
half-time
Okay.
work.
That's what I was trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the contracts.
Okay,
So do we need a resolution from the committee to approve this
I would think so, yeah.
revised work plans?
Yeah, and then you actually had
And the
the GAR
particulars of it.
contract amounts, the contract in this, really, anyway. Yeah.
No, I guess it.
No, this was more of a work plan. You
Plan.
would have to have a letter of offer, like a
Yeah.
letter addendum to.
Yeah, so I think
From
that's
Shale,
probably,
so-
we need to probably approve that.
Well, and it will
Yeah.
reflect this work plan,
Yeah.
based on this work plan,
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe can we, accept that as what we're gonna do, the 5 hours for Kathleen and 17.5 hours for.
I think it's important to accept the motion for accepting
We
the
think
work,
we need
the
to
work plan.
approve the work
initially.
plan.
Yeah, and.
So
as
I would
outlined.
move that we, that,
Approve the communications and fundraising work plan dated September
yeah,
4th,
As
2019, and the capital,
contract.
as amended.
yeah,
As
because you added, yeah,
Yeah.
be approved by the committee, or that the committee approved what.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you can fix that.
And capital.
yes.
We don't have to recommend to council.
No,
No.
Kathy said you don't
No.
know.
Yeah, okay.
Work plan. As amended
Mhm.
at its September 10th meeting.
11.
Yeah. September
It's disappearing already.
Mover?
Allison moved
I
it.
moved it.
I seconded it.
All in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous.
And then I guess the other motion would be that the committee recommends, we don't, or the committee recommends or approves extending the contracts.
Yeah.
To support the work plan.
Recommends.
Do we have?
We're recommending the work
It's
plan,
not
don't we
gonna be
recommend it?
so do
Well,
we-
extend
we're
the
approving
contract?
the work plan.
Approve.
Yeah,
Which
But I
is
think
contingent
this is
upon
within staff's budget for approval, because it's in the budget, right?
Yeah.
yeah, as long as it's covered and it's not an extension.
It's
I
not
think,
a,
yeah.
it's
So
not
it's
a
nothing that has to
extra
go to
money.
council.
I think by
Doesn't have to go to
approving the work
council.
plan, we approve that
Well, no, because
extension.
there's no mention in the work plan
Oh,
of
isn't it?
hours of people
Oh,
doing.
No, there isn't.
So I think we probably need to approve the extending of the contract for, what'd you say, 5
Fundraising.
hours a week for
Kathleen.
Kathleen and.
I would just,
17.5.
the backfill
Right,
position, the
backfill.
backfill position.
Via, not rec.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Okay,
yeah.
by,
It's actually to support the
backfill.
work
To support
plan
the work plan.
as approved.
Yeah,
Yeah, so to,
In support of the work
yeah,
plan.
to agree to continue with contracts reflecting the work plan.
but I think we need to clarify that it's at a reduced.
Sure.
And then there's a 17 hours at rec.
17 and a half.
17.5, 17.5.
And.
To support communications and fundraising.
Yeah, again,
not
I
Or
would
really
to support
rec.
the work
I
plan.
would, yeah, I would put it more in the sense of it's supporting the work plans, either of the work plans rather than.
Supporting the work
who it's
plans.
for.
Sorry, recreation backfill?
No,
No.
there's no
No.
recreation
No.
Sorry, I
backfill.
missed it. There's a couple people talking at the same
Yes.
time.
To support the
Fundraising.
communication and fundraising work plan.
And
17.5 hours.
Okay. What's the job that,
Talent's job.
okay,
So
fundraising
it's-
assistant.
Right, so again, I think it should be, what I was trying to say, Steph, is
Yes.
clarify that it's to support the communications and fundraising work plan, that's the 17.5 hours. And the other is to support 5 hours to support capital project and operational management,
Yes.
as per
Okay.
the approved budget.
Yeah, and you probably don't have to name people, you can just
Or
say
position,
hours.
or positions, it's all tied into the work.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Got it?
I was gonna do both.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we've got the idea, we can tidy up.
Thank you. Okay, I'll move that.
So what have you got there, Steph? That's sort of.
Can I just tweak it?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
we'll
think
leave it
you-
as long as you're happy with the information.
I'm happy.
Okay, I'll second that and all in
He's
favor.
excited.
Any more?
And of course, I
Yeah.
just want to
Jackie?
comment that this work plan will involve everybody at this table, or at least specifically a few people as far as
Yeah, I was
assistants.
gonna ask in the minutes, I hadn't had any phone calls that I lost, so.
No, so in
No,
terms of
okay.
doing this work going forward, the business plan, operations, yeah, we'll be requiring assistance from the committee and in terms of the, well, certainly joint management model will probably take quite a bit of time too over the next few weeks.
Do we have to put that in, is that?
No.
No, just,
Okay.
it's just giving that heads
They're all
up, giving
next
you
on the new
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, oh
They're
boy.
all next in the agenda.
It's coming.
Just wanted to put that.
And just one quick note for everybody on that design piece that Jacqueline was talking about, are working with Drew. Drew Rose, principal, and the people who are manufacturing the seats that would be in the large multipurpose room are coming to Bowen on September 20th. It's a Friday morning.
Yeah.
There's a meeting here at 10:30, I want to say, and they're gonna bring the seats. that
Oh,
they're-
wow.
That they are
Yeah. Recommended?
recommending. So Drew asked me to invite everybody if
Thank
they're
you.
around.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. That'd be great. Are you gonna send an invite for that?
I can. I think it's 10:30 on the
Sure.
20th.
I can't come.
I can't come in.
And my understanding also is that the seats will stay here.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
That's nice. Ooh.
Oh, well, can we use them for audience seats during, for
Yeah,
a
that's
council
right.
meeting? Put them in
Sure.
the back row
Yeah.
against the wall?
I think you should
You
put them in
can
the
have
front
the
row.
seats. Yeah.
Well, it depends how high they are again.
I guess.
I don't.
Okay. Interesting. So Drew's coming
And Craig,
and Craig. Oh,
and the
awesome.
manufacturers of the seats.
Oh, that's awesome. Unfortunately, I can't make it.
So we'll come down and sit in.
I want to be there. Thank you. Okay, so is that it for 5.3? We'll move on to 5.4, which is a joint management committee and joint use agreement.
Yes, so
How's
we,
that
well, that is going to require some assistance from this committee. So the joint use agreement, basically we need to decide how the operations of the building are going to be conducted. And that is specifically with major stakeholders such as BIAC, how that looks. So currently, for example, BIM has a joint use agreement with the Bowen, with school district
Mhm.
to use the school. And we do a block booking, we have a block, this is how, we get charged by the school district rent based on custodial hours, hydro, water, and how many hours we actually use for community programming within the school. So we just need to start the process of thinking about how that's gonna happen, and I think I just wanted to bring that up before Jackie is not a part of the process, which will be at the end of December, is that
Yeah,
right?
well, even
Yeah.
if you were continuing as part of the process, you're not the Arts Council representative, so. After the end of December, right?
I'm not Parents Council representative, no.
Yeah, so we probably, I would assume we're going to continue this committee.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the committee terms has the executive director of the Arts Council
Is
is
that
be
right?
sitting at it. sitting on the committee.
That's right.
Given your history.
But, you know,
But yes,
But
so
that's-
I've done a lot of work,
Yes.
it's not
We can-
only
we
with
can
this
work that out.
committee, but in the
Yeah.
past, so we
Yeah.
did a lot of, looking at different models.
But
for
to
these
try and get it
things,
done now when you're-
So,
Yeah.
exactly, we're trying to get some of it
Perfect
done
sense.
anyway.
Yeah.
Get
Try to get it
yeah.
started.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well,
So,
sort of a list of the principles we can.
No
work on.
problem.
yeah, we
Yes.
have some of that, right, because we did do the draft, or not, or the agreement, the project agreement, with Lisa,
There's a more comfortable chair up here.
And so in terms of how the process of that would work, I mean, Sean and I have kind of looked at it, we've done a lot of the research, but if we kind of pull together something and then bring, maybe, if not the entire committee, call the subcommittee together to look at that. And I expect that there will be members of our board, of the Arts Council board that would also like to be part of that discussion and conversation.
I think it should be some kind of a workshop
Yeah.
or
Workshop, yeah.
some kind of a session, because we're all gonna have to sit down, and that's gonna have to be a single purpose meeting
Mhm.
to work this out, because that's not gonna be easy. Of course, Raj is definitely gonna have to be there.
We're at 5.2, Raj.
Well, yeah, but it's also, okay, it's also just
Joint,
gonna
joint.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be at least one workshop or something.
No,
No, I
the
think
joint
it'd be-
management committee would be when we're in the facility, and they would meet probably twice a year or something. But there may be a subcommittee of this committee to talk about that.
Well, I
joint
think it
management
probably.
Well, that's-
Given that
Yeah.
we're not that large a committee, I
Yeah,
think it
or the whole
probably
committee
needs to
would-
be a workshop of the whole committee.
Yeah, and I do think inviting some members of the board from BIAC, that might be, being that they are a key major stakeholder.
Yeah. We've been working on this a long time. And I thought we sort of had some resolutions on parts and that
No,
sort of thing.
I think we've got
There's some assumptions,
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
some assumptions that
Mhm.
we've stated, yeah, as part of our project agreement, we did go through that, and we referenced a joint, use committee, and, indicated who might be sitting on that, and
But-
so there's a framework.
And there hasn't really been
There
a
has to be.
consensus or a decision made around
how the joint use would work.
how the joint use will work.
Just the concept would, there would be a joint use agreement of some kind. And the school board one
Yeah.
was fairly lengthy in development. I
It
think
is
there was-
lengthy.
There were some points that were agreed off right on the board, and there were some other points that were quite sticky.
Yeah.
So there's
Oh,
that, we
sure.
also have a co-commons joint, operations
Oh, yeah.
agreement, so we
Yeah.
look at that, but there's also other communities, we could draw in that are very relevant in terms of it being a municipality and an arts organization or
Shared
other
a
other
couple of
stakeholders.
organizations shared.
Yeah.
How long do you think we need to get a lot of background information and put this workshop together, like a month from now or something like that? Could we look at something, or?
I would think so. Does that work for your
Yeah.
timeline?
I mean, we've already gone a lot of, we have amassed
Mhm.
documents, right, and so we have
Well,
access to
some
those
of
resources right
The
now.
things that would end up in that will hinge very much on the next agenda item, business plan.
Yes.
Financial strategy.
Yes.
Mhm.
So-
Absolutely.
We
Do
have-
you- Yeah, do you think it would be better to have some kind of a loose framework together before we get into this meeting, or do you think it would be better just to come in cold and just start from the beginning? I mean,
I
we
think
gotta
we
talk,
have
we
a
gotta
loose
talk
framework.
about,
I think we have
we
a-
gotta talk about membership, we gotta talk
Yeah.
about.
We have a loose framework,
Yeah.
because we have the project agreement that we did at the very
Yeah, that's
beginning of
right,
this.
And you've got to draft principles for joint use agreements from previous iterations. of all
Yeah.
this.
And we
So you
can-
might just say that there's some sticking points in there.
There are some sticking points. There's also two different models, like one of the other previous iterations
Mhm.
was having like an advisory board
The West Van
run,
model.
like the West Van model, the West Van Aquatic Center
Mm.
model, where they have a board that runs the facility per se,
Not just the aquatic center, the whole
the
community.
whole community center.
Wow.
So,
But who makes up that board?
It's an independent board.
Oh, it's just so John Q. Public? Is that what you're saying?
yes, I think so.
And I think they're elected by John Q. Public, not by the, I remember looking at theirs, both the past treasurer and the past chair are friends of mine, so I can,
So it's just a different
Yeah.
model than we.
totally different.
So that's a completely different model than what we have with the school
Yeah.
district.
Yeah, that one, I don't know if that would work so well over here, it's hard to say. Anyway, guess
I mean, would it be something where we would come to present a couple of different models then? Just to show the different ways that different communities
deal with it.
manage things like that?
Yeah, we could do like an
Yeah.
overview of that.
That would work for me. I mean, to start
Yeah.
with a blank piece of paper is well, it's not
Yeah,
appropriate.
no.
It's not appropriate.
Not
to go all over
productive.
the place.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we've got this example of
Yeah.
the school one,
Yeah.
which everybody sort of is used to.
Yeah.
And then West Van is a different model. So there's a couple of other communities using either of those models. The West Van one's pretty neat, but I'm not sure. Okay, so when we're off at UBCM, then that's, when people talking about community centers, we need to be asking questions about how they
Yeah.
operate them.
Yeah.
Great.
And particularly.
Because I'm sure-
Comparative communities, right?
Yeah.
So if there's like comparative communities and you've got community centres that have got similar facilities to the
Yeah.
one that we're
Yeah.
proposing, that would be your best bet to find out what they're doing.
Yeah, so facilities that have,
Yeah,
More
the
than
same
just a
kinds of
single
things
purpose.
as what we're
Yeah.
doing. I would say that would be your best
Include
bet.
just.
Because that's certainly what I've been doing for the economic
the
development
Hewlett's
plan.
close. Yeah.
So that's your best bet for looking
Yeah.
at, yeah.
Then there's the West Van School Board and the theater there, what is it?
The K-meet community, they've got their own
Yeah.
society, I think.
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
yeah. Seems a little extensive. Anyway, should we make, how do you wanna?
So we're near the end of October, or?
Sure.
I mean, if we're assuming we're gonna be full bore out by the end of December,
Yeah.
early part of December, then to finish off the business plan, or in case they ask us some questions of the
Mhm.
final decision-making process.
Well, it might be nice to also have that all in place in the event that we are successful and need to.
That's what I'm
go
talking
Yes,
further.
about.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we need to plan on being able to have all our ducks in a row by
Yeah.
the beginning of December.
We don't have much time.
So that means,
No, really, it's,
No.
that means the end of
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so we started on that, the business plan, to some degree, but of course it'll be informed by this other document, and yeah, there's lots of work still that needs to be done.
So what do you wanna call this, a joint use management plan?
A joint management committee, joint use agreement workshop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometime near,
Near the end of.
Near the end of
October.
well, it depends, I mean, I was just thinking about timeline for you guys. But
Yeah.
how much time do you need to
Yeah,
prep for
and
it?
I'm away for a week in October.
Middle of
I am
October would be
too,
better if we
away
could,
in
but-
October.
I'm away the 12th to the
To the-
21st. of
Okay,
October.
well,
So,
I think it's,
I'm going for a conference, actually.
But,
So there's a space in the
So,
20th to the 26th.
what, for,
do you want to say?
oh, you're looking at when we can have the council room during the day?
the 26th.
yeah, cause we're
That's
definitely
a
gonna
Saturday.
do
Did you say 26th?
Between the 20th and the 26th. During a work week. Yeah, it's video from during the day.
Well, I don't know whether we want
Last
a
2 weeks.
daytime or a weekend thing, it depends.
I think we're probably gonna have to schedule about 3 hours, eh?
Yeah, and I'm thinking of, I don't know how many of the Arts Council board that would want to come work.
A couple, maybe 3 people.
Yeah. I mean, your president
Yeah.
works.
He will. Yeah, he works,
Yeah.
definitely, so
So,
weekends,
it-
probably, but he
so-
may be flexible, I don't know.
Yeah.
I-
So
So is this the
well,
workshop of this committee, or just, it's just like a
a
subcommittee?
joint workshop of this committee
A few more.
and the board, the BIA.
By act.
I need to get approval from the CEO before I can schedule the workshop. So why don't you give me your dates?
And do we want a facilitated workshop, or?
Do you have a budget? Yeah, I guess you do.
You'd have to think how you wanna run it, right? What you wanna achieve,
For sure.
all those things, and then you can decide.
Can Sean and I do some work on this?
Yeah.
And come back to
Yeah.
the committee with some
We can do the
suggestions,
next- the
including
planning bit
potential
by
workshop
email.
times and things like that.
Could you do that, and we'll aim for targets sort of like, I think the last week in October.
Mhm.
Because then Sean will be back and that sort of
Well,
thing.
Sean's back on the 21st,
Yeah,
which is a Monday.
but it might not be nice to not do it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
So you're gonna be thinking, proposing dates, proposing whether it's facilitator or not?
Yeah, kind of maybe a framework.
Guest
framework,
list.
Format.
framework.
Just format and that sort of thing too.
Format.
And how many people, because if we get too many
People.
people,
Yeah,
we're
no, I
gonna
don't
be
think
Yes.
we need too many.
And you're gonna be sending that by email to the committee?
Yes.
Okay.
And you don't want 31st, of course, which is Halloween.
No.
Could all dress up.
Could be more fun.
Yeah, and it's, yeah, and you'll have to decide whether it needs to be a daytime, an evening, or preferably not a week.
So what were your dates that you're with, sorry?
I'm away the 12th to the 21st.
I have a conference on 17th and 19th.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's good of us to.
So this also segues
We
in,
check our
which I think
schedules.
is pretty close into the business plan and the financial strategy.
Yes,
Who's
so
paying who, percentages, all that sort of
Oh,
stuff, but that's
exactly.
sort of
You've got
tied in.
Tie some of
Yeah.
that down before you can finish the other one.
Yeah. Which I wonder if should we hazard to bring that in as part of that workshop?
the business plan and the financial
Yeah,
strategy.
well, just the cost sharing, I think, is the biggest one.
Yeah, so you have a template here that we've been using to create that plan, and it includes things like, budget, so,
Yeah.
operational budget, so that obviously will be informed by those discussions. Governance and management is part of that, so again,
Yes.
that will come out of the
Those two.
workshop. And then the other project risk assessment, implementation strategy, there's things that might also be impacted, but other aspects of it we could continue to work on in parallel to this or following it.
Yeah.
There will be budget considerations within the joint
Yes.
management of the facility, so.
And Raj is gonna need those sooner rather than later for the financial plan.
True that, yeah. So this, I think that should be noted also in the management plan. I think we have to touch on this financial.
Mhm.
And I think it's gonna kick that meeting to
Well, that's the
about an
joint-
afternoon.
That's the joint use agreement,
Well, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
because if you look at the one we did for the school, it talks about how much we're paying for.
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. So that's gotta be a part of this, and
Well, it's gotta be done
business
before we
plan's a little
can
bit,
finalize the business plan.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
But is the business plan has to be done before we can do
No,
the financial
Well, we're
cost sharing, which has to be done after
they
we set
sort
up
of
the
have
joint
to
management.
be, they have to be done in tandem,
Yes,
not as, you can't do one
Can't do
completely
them
first
separately,
and then
no.
do the other, because each feeds into the other.
Mhm.
well, what all I'm trying to say is here, are we gonna be able to achieve this all in one meeting? Or should we separate it?
Well, the business plan and financial strategy, Jackie and I have started that document
Okay.
and had
Yeah.
passed it to Allison and Raj, and I don't know if you guys have
We
had it
did.
at the last meeting that we had in July.
I didn't recall you ever giving it to me.
It's sent in, I apologize with everything that's been going on in the last month and a half, I just haven't
Well, that's why
Hours
I
to
said,
dedicate
looking at the
to it or
minutes,
even look at
did
it,
I miss
so,
something, because.
right off the bat.
So that, I think it was in the minutes.
Well, my minutes said that we were gonna look at it, but I don't
Yes.
remember getting anything, but that doesn't mean I didn't.
Okay.
Well, we could read.
So-
So I
circulate
certainly
it.
can see it.
Well, you can reprint for
Yeah.
me.
I
Yeah.
think
In black and white.
just
Okay.
from,
Okay.
So
I think it's at a point where some financial eyes need to be
Okay.
on it, which are not mine.
Well, if you would provide me with a hard copy, that would be great, because that's the sort of thing I read when I'm on the ferry.
All right.
in terms of process for those
Yeah.
two items,
Yes.
Gary, in response to your question, I think that workshop on the joint management, the understanding, we will probably be able to set the parameters, the agreements, and then then there will be a need to actually look at the numbers and prepare and create that
And
financial
fit them in there somewhere.
picture,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't think we can do it all that one day, but at least that first part will be able to, again, inform and create the situations so that we can move forward on the business plan. So maybe a second meeting to come together to look at that, or it goes through the finance committee, or
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly, but I know.
I think it just, everybody has to be aware of that,
as we get into the one meeting on the management and that sort of thing, but everybody has to be aware that there are significant, you know, cost sharing part of it,
And, I mean, there
financial and.
will be a
business
process,
plan.
because even after whatever comes out of that workshop, it has to come back, probably to be ratified.
Yeah, no,
by the
absolutely.
committee, and
Yeah.
it has to go to our board
No,
and
good
all
man,
that, so
that-
there's
wow.
going to be a few steps in there, I think.
Okay. Can we move on to AAP?
And it will be a work in progress,
Yes.
you know,
Mhm.
there's no question about that, so.
But it's great that we're, gonna attack it and
Mm-hmm, yes,
address it as
absolutely.
much as we can.
The alternate approval process timeline. Can you tell us about that, John?
Well, we just did all the details for Cove Bay, so Raj
Okay.
got all that memorized.
Well, Raj and Hope, I guess, yeah.
What can we, what have we done so far? We've passed the,
Oh, here for Cove Bay?
no, for,
For this,
we've
we've
submitted
submitted to the inspector. We know that the inspector is going to still take 6 to 8 weeks
Okay.
to approve it. So depending on,
So how much can we do in
And
this?
did we request, I think when we submitted to the inspector, we had to specify whether we were doing an alternative approval process or whether we were doing a referendum.
Oh,
I thought
didn't
this
say.
one said
I thought
referendum.
this was to be a
I
referendum.
This
think
is
that
supposed to be
said-
a referendum.
referendum.
So does everybody know the difference between a referendum and alternate
Yeah.
approval? Okay.
I think we did specify.
I think we did
I thought we did.
specify referendum.
So it's
Yeah,
not-
so
Does
this
that
says
mean we-
alternative, this says AAP in here.
Yeah, I think it's
But
gonna have
can
to be
we-
a referendum.
So it's gonna have to be, that's what
We'd have to
the
read.
communication has been promising the community.
So I guess that's the question
Well,
then, if
We
we,
say process, we say approval process, we've used both terms.
We've used,
Yeah.
well, we said referendum originally, and then we switched.
so did we use, say, elect or approval process in
We
the
used
actual
both.
submission to the inspector?
I
We
can't
can have to
remember.
look.
Yeah, you'd have to, I wasn't involved in the
Because the
submission to the
timelines are
inspector, but
different.
we did have to specify which methodology we were gonna use.
And
And
what about the borrowing bylaw? What if we've already given
Third reading,
third reading for
Yeah.
the
because we
actual
needed that for
borrowing
the
bylaw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
grant application.
how do we look that up? What meeting did we give third reading?
this, I believe it was last year.
It was
around
February
January.
19th.
February 19th,
I
okay.
think it was February 19th.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
February 19th?
Yes, because we had to get it in.
Yeah.
Right.
It was day of.
It was whatever that council meeting was before February 19th. We had to
There was a
get
big
it.
squeeze in there, yeah.
2019.
So it might have been the
regular-
February 18th meeting. Council meeting.
There was February the 11th and February the 25th.
Oh, maybe it was the 11th then.
Okay, so.
So do we have the option to change it to an AAP and resubmit?
Well,
Or
we
is
probably
that
have to
not?
redo the bylaw. I don't know what we said in the by, I think the bylaw
I
probably
suspect
said.
the minister is going to ask to resubmit the liability servicing certificate because
Oh,
we've
yes.
also gotten, information has changed.
Right,
And, well, we've got the Cove Bay loan on
right.
the books right now.
Oh, right.
So we're gonna have to alter the liability servicing certificate in any event.
So maybe we should have that ready for.
Could somebody liaise with Hope, because she's pretty wired up on this stuff right now.
Yeah,
In
it's
terms
not,
of the
Tell me
procedure, we
again.
have the entire procedure spelled out in the Code Bay document. I had
Yeah.
done a schedule
yeah,
for the timelines and stuff, so I
Okay.
can forward that to you so you can use that as,
But
it
that,
lays out the timeline right from the first 3 readings to approval by the minister, right down to the borrowing.
but that is for the AAP.
That
that's an AAP
That's the
timeline,
AAP,
so the
yeah.
referendum timeline is longer.
is a little bit different.
And
yeah.
we've got that all laid out if
Yeah.
you looked at the fire hall process.
Yeah, I think,
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah.
So the question is, I think we thought maybe an AAP might work because of having the grant.
Right.
But the other side of the coin is I've had a lot of people say to me, are we getting a chance to say whether we want this or not. If I could find the agenda in a minute.
I can help you with it. Are you looking through the tracking?
No, oh, hell, I can never get into that.
Okay, I can get into it.
I,
What am I looking for? And you guys can, it's third reading on,
Okay.
Obviously, we're not gonna call it unless if we get the money.
Loan authorization
Right.
bylaw.
Loan authorization
So I
bylaws.
guess we have to look at our strategy, what
Yeah.
makes the
Saying the full pay up here
most
for
sense in
you.
terms of our strategy, what we think we
Because
can
how much did
achieve,
we say
what
we were
we
gonna
think
borrow?
the community will want. 4
4
million.
million.
4 million,
2 million of which is a wash,
yes.
and the other 2 million, you know.
Who knows?
How much is
Time,
it?
you know, we might be able to get some.
7.9.
It's not the
Yeah.
full thing.
In the meantime, we
do
are
you want
doing.
a timeline for that?
No,
we want
the resolution.
We want the
for the bylaw.
resolution for the bylaw.
Okay.
Between now and that announcement, we're going to be doing some communications work. We're going
Yeah.
to be talking to the community. We'll
Well,
be
we don't want the
engaging with
Committe
the.
bylaw. We
with-
want-
I know, I just was putting that, if you guys wanted timing, you could be
And-
reading that while I'm
okay.
looking for the link.
And
for-
hopefully
for
that
the
will help,
tracking.
help us with this decision. You know, when we get feedback from the community and
Okay,
moving up
so
to
it's
those
gonna
dates.
be-
I mean, it will depend on what else is happening, you know, whether things are moving on forward with the health center. You know, there's a lot of different factors that we're not aware of right now that may impact on that decision.
Yeah, there certainly is. Raj, would you say that the alternate approval procedure that we're going through for Cove Bay,
Yeah.
that only includes Cove Bay people?
That's only Cove
That only
Bay.
includes Cove Bay. Yeah, I mean, you can
There it
apply
is.
that to the entire island as well.
Well, you
I mean,
could, except I don't know what the elected.
Well, for the community.
Oh,
sorry.
well, I would say 2,200.
Yeah.
And 10% of that is 220 people.
Yeah,
That's why
Okay, so what do you want with
I'm
this?
saying, maybe not such a good idea.
The AAP?
Well, because then you might need to a referendum, is that correct? Is that-
Yeah.
is that-
well,
So-
my only, well, the AEP is less expensive to administer, less timely to administer. But my concern is, and we have to go through our documentation, I think this committee has been saying, using the word referendum to the community in the past, and
I think so.
We've
I
got
think
it.
it's on
Used
most of the
both, for
literature.
sure.
Oh, there's
It's
2
in the
copies
report.
right there.
It's in the report
You
of
got it
February
upstairs?
the 19th.
Printed?
Borrowing referendum, $4
No,
million.
no, I can print tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can send it.
So,
down.
referendum is what we
Okay.
have.
It says referendum and everything we've been doing.
It says
Not
referendum.
everything.
No,
But
he's saying, he's saying in what we passed.
Oh, you found it?
Yes, I did, David.
Yeah.
found it.
David found it.
In the five.
Yeah,
So
referendum.
referendum here,
In
this
the
is
council meeting
February.
of the
What
February
date?
19th.
February
Oh, yeah.
19th?
February
Here it is.
19th, yeah.
I was just looking at that.
Here.
Yeah.
Just look on the screen, I'll just on the screen.
Oh, can you make it bigger? Council
For
appointment.
referendum.
the 2019 referendum.
Yeah, okay, we didn't say electorate process.
Referendum.
Yeah.
I think we stick with that. I
Why
think it's
is it-
consistent.
Yeah, well, then that means we're not doing an AEP, we've done it, we'd have to go back to council and change it. And whether we could or not, depending on what we sent to the inspector, like, that's doing the
That's what
referendum.
went.
That.
That is what went to the inspector, that's what's in the
Yeah.
grant application.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think we ever
oh,
talked
okay,
about
well,
it.
then we're doing a referendum.
Yeah, period.
Okay, so that's a longer process. So how much work can we do on a referendum before the inspector in that 6 to 8 weeks?
So, well, there'll be a lot of communication work there,
Yeah,
for
but
sure,
there's-
but,
Some steps to get the process going, I guess, once we
right,
get
so
the
what are
answer.
those?
Well, I think we can
steps?
be,
This is
we can be
procedural
ready
actions
to
that you
go,
had.
you know, if we're ready to go and if we get the loan approval.
Well,
Then we
if we get the
put it in
grant,
the grant.
if we get the
The
grant
grant, oh, sorry,
approval,
the grant.
that
Yeah.
kicks off the activity.
So the
And,
procedural.
and then the 8, let's say 8 weeks, because he's gonna have a lot, maybe a lot of 8 weeks timeline.
Yeah,
What can we actually do as part of the referendum process in that 8 weeks?
In that 8 weeks, in terms of the timeline for borrowing, if you take a look at, again, the loan authorization bylaw report that went to council for Cove Bay,
yeah.
if you can pull that up, Steph, there is a schedule attached to it.
So
That-
where am I looking for that?
You
So
go
I-
into Cove Bay and then go through,
In here?
That just happened
Yeah, I found
in the
it.
June meeting, I think.
I found it through Cove Bay.
But it will be,
July.
the scheduling will be a little bit different than
It'll, a part, just the referendum
Yeah,
part of
that's
it will
all,
be
yeah.
different. The rest of the
Just
steps
file.
should be identical.
Okay.
Yeah, so there should be a attachment
Keep
to
going,
that.
Sam. Hang on. Go back.
No,
Yeah.
it's the report before this, actually. This is,
Okay.
yeah.
Keep going down.
Down?
Yeah, I think it's chronological for the most recent at the top.
Oh,
Here we go.
Yeah.
Um,
Staff report, here, October
I
20.
think that's September 10th staff report, Rod, is that?
I'm referring to the July one,
Okay, go
actually. I
down
can put a
back.
schedule in the July one.
Okay.
There was one in, I believe, the last one in July or first week of August before council.
Okay, there
Oh,
we go,
July
yeah, July staff report.
It's like a
And there's an
mystery.
attachment to that report, I believe, appendix B or one of the appendices.
Oh my gosh, so much. Okay.
Appendix.
That's B.
Okay.
Hang on, go down.
You want me?
What,
No, it's a timeline, so try to check,
keep going down,
keep going down.
Oh, down?
yeah, it'll be,
It's past B.
No, past me, okay.
there, no.
No, after that one. After the liability servicing certificate,
No,
there should.
that's it.
I know I had a schedule in that.
I remember.
That was not
It was a very
good.
clear schedule.
Well,
Did
maybe
it not
this-
get attached?
Maybe it was a second.
I don't know how much it really matters, I mean,
Well, it
we're
gives
just
us an
gonna have
idea
to
of how
do.
much we can do in that
Okay.
6 to 8 week
So do you
period.
mean what we're allowed to do or just time-wise?
More what we do.
Your next
What's
steps
appendix,
and
what's
timeline.
appendix A? Can you go to appendix A, the very first one? Sorry, Jeff, this is B.
I think A is a
Are
map.
there restrictions on activities
A
during
is
this
just a
time?
map, Raj.
Oh, okay, then
Or is it?
Map
I thought
and
wrong.
bylaw,
Oh,
oh.
hang on, proposed code by water treatment, loan
Timeline
authorization.
Timeline
There.
appendix E.
Appendix E, and then it's not there?
Appendix
On
E
here.
isn't there.
I knew I put in a.
Okay, is
Good
it
for
in
you.
a common folder though, appendix E? Can I find it in a folder?
Well,
You
what
should be
meeting
able-
was this? Go to the July 8th, 2019 meeting.
Oh.
Agenda.
So is there concern that there's restrictions on activities during this period?
Well, yeah, you can only do certain things before you get the approval of the inspector.
That's got all the steps, yeah.
Before you get the approval?
Yeah.
Right.
So we got
Like,
8 weeks before we got the approval per se.
So we have 8 weeks to
To do what?
communications.
I guess that's what.
Yeah, we can just do communication.
What kind of things can't you do, Allison?
Well, it's just, there's certain steps, so I don't know.
Well, I understand that,
And
but
there's a timeline of you can't start giving them more information too far
Oh,
before
yeah, because
the.
you can't leave
process.
people and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yes, of course, yeah.
Oh, all that sort of
That's
stuff.
once
Yeah.
approval's given?
No, that's
No,
before.
up until the approval.
Yeah, there's a bunch of.
I remember this.
Once
now.
the approval is given, you have to
Yeah.
have your referendum
Yeah.
within X
within a
amount of
certain number of
days.
days.
Yeah, again, so my
Yeah.
question still is, what are the are there any restrictions in terms of activities leading up to
well,
the approval?
I think,
There we go.
like Allison says, I think there's a time thing about promotion, eh?
Yeah, there is. I
Yeah.
remember Kathy telling us
Yeah.
about this. There's
I mean,
very
we
specific
haven't
things
designed,
about what
we've got to
you can
design the
say.
question, but I don't know whether the question
We've
can be
designed the
designed.
question, though. We've already got the question, we
We
approved
do.
the question. The
No.
question's been approved.
The question that's going to go on the ballot.
I've got it up there, so hopefully.
But I
Well, I
thought the
found it.
question had to
It's
go.
Okay,
not
so
there.
I'm gonna
It's
just
not
for
there.
No, it's the
appendix
loan,
E.
it's the borrowing bylaw.
Yeah, I know it was provided,
Yes.
maybe just in.
So close, eh?
See, there
It's
you
gonna
go.
be in a folder.
Right.
Is
So
it
we
in a
need to
common drive or
determine whether or not what
It's
we
not
can
in
and
the
cannot do,
common
when we
drive,
can't do
it's
that.
in the end drive. But I can print it out and bring it actually, just give me a minute,
Okay.
I'll go grab
Okay,
it.
we'll carry on.
Yeah, why
Thank
don't
you.
you guys carry on?
Let's do the bear auction while
Bear
we're waiting.
Yes. Let's do the bear auction.
All right, do you want to spearhead the bear auction?
So we've got the,
I need my lunch now.
we've got the 5 bears, and we've started to do the auction for them, but we need to try and get a bit more visibility, which is really difficult on Facebook if you've got a business page, because they don't show it to anyone. So, I can't show you this on the big screen because I'm not plugged in, but So we've just created it as an event, because apparently that is, sorry, you can't see this. Apparently that's the way to do it. So we've just created the auction as an event on
Oh, good.
Facebook. And so what we'll start to do is we'll start to post all of the bear posts to the event, and then they'll start showing up on people's feed.
So you can't do the auction, oh, it's a silent auction, right?
Yeah, so each bear has got its own post, and if people want to bid, then they go and bid on the bear's post.
Okay.
So I can actually see how the bidding
Yes,
is going.
it's like they do with the Children's Centre auction, same principle for the online auction that they do there.
And we do have one anonymous.
What's the value on
bid.
those, 450?
They're
$400.
$395, yeah.
And if somebody's not on Facebook, how can we get the word out to them? And
So
get
you
them
have
on-
to bid on Facebook, or can you bid elsewhere otherwise?
Well, so we want to take the bids through Facebook because we're keeping them all in one place. But if somebody can contact us otherwise, and we can put the bid on for them. So the lady that contacted us to say that it was an anonymous bid, and this is how much she wanted to bid, I then went to put the bid on.
You want to bring it
and
up, I
just
saved
said
it in the after-drive
Oh.
committee presentations
F
folder.
for
it was
C.
anonymous and
Yeah,
how much she
administration.
put on, and obviously I have a
I'll
note
just
of who
pass
that
it
is.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, we've got the bears here, we've got 3 here, we've got 3 at the Cove
Right,
Commons.
two.
2, sorry, at the Cove Commons, and they've got their.
So is there anything that
Appendix E in there.
we can actually distribute in hard copy?
Well,
like-
that's what I was just gonna say.
Commentary
It would be good to do that too, just for people to be able to see a physical thing, and we can put some posters up around as well.
Well, and if I had an email that had the information, then I could send it out to people.
So I'll do that too. I just made up a new poster last night that was like a brighter poster. It was more a poster style, and we can do that with an email that we send around. We can do that poster that we post around, in addition to all these posts that we put up. The main thing that I wanted to say about this was, when you see this now, if you can go and like it
share
and
it.
attend the event and because that will help it pop up in people's feeds.
So is it up right now?
Yes, I've done it.
Can you boost it?
So
Are
I
you
think
able to
we
boost
will.
it as
Yeah,
well?
we
Yeah,
will. I
that
don't know if you
helps.
can boost events.
Yeah,
But I'll be able to boost the posts that I put up. So that's what I'll do, because I'll boost the bears.
I know Kathleen's also doing Instagram
Yeah.
with this as well. the
Oh, is she?
Instagram
Yeah,
stories.
we don't really use ours.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
we have quite a few followers,
That's
and
great.
it shows, it's linked to Facebook.
Awesome.
Well, I need an email for
Yeah,
those of
I'll
us
do
that
that.
refuse to
I'll
do
send
it.
Yeah,
it.
no,
I'll
fair
send
enough.
an
I
email.
think there's,
Yeah,
there's a
they-
lot.
We also
Yeah.
need a catchy slogan to
Yes.
do with the bears.
We're trying to think of a title for the auction that isn't Bear to be different. Because I was trying to think of it late last night, and that's all I could think of, and then they got worse.
There must be something from Winnie the Pooh.
And then we started to add the honey bear
Oh,
thing,
it
and
just
then it
got- it
just
was
got
appalling.
silly and
So,
appalling.
yeah, if you can think of anything that's a play on words. And then I was thinking positively something.
No, that's
Yeah, I know, I just can't. So if you think of anything, let me know, and I
There
will.
must be something from Winnie the Pooh.
I'm sure,
Funny
but
part.
if you think of anything, it's got to be short. So, yeah,
Yeah.
think of something.
What is she,
snappy.
how did she present the bears? She had a whole storyline on them too, Catherine.
Yeah, which I've got in the blurb.
Yeah, good, okay.
They each have a name and they
Yes.
each have a personality.
They do.
Right.
I've written little
Yeah.
personalities
Yes.
for
You
them
did,
all.
okay. so
They're
it's
quite
in there.
fleshed out in terms
Yeah.
of
The
Yeah,
individual.
who they are.
bear
Yes.
individuals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love
So
them.
each
I really
bear's
like
got its own dating
So
profile.
I,
Yes. So,
You're really young.
but yeah, so that's hopefully going to get a bit more traction.
and how would the timeline go, Helen? Are you thinking that you blast them all out at once, or are you gonna?
Yeah, so they're all up right now.
Okay.
And then what I'll do for the overall auction itself, we're just gonna, we've done the event so that we don't bug people, basically. That's gonna go out on Tuesdays and Fridays. It'll pop up in people's feeds. And then with the bears themselves, I'll do a similar thing where they pop up you know,
Yeah,
on
good idea,
specific
yeah.
days, so that people see it enough that they go, oh yeah, but not so much that like, oh, for God's sake, you know, because that does get annoying, but people need to repetitively see something to remember and then act on it, you know.
Or like me.
Are we gonna get them in?
And say,
What's
get
the
me off this
duration of the
list.
campaign?
It's till the 25th of October.
And can we get them into the, like, what's really effective is if you can get that bear image into a lot of things,
Yeah.
on our, in the undercurrent, on our municipal page, but then you drop little bears all through the undercurrent.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Well, trying to even get it into the undercurrent was
No, I
exciting,
know.
let me tell you. Because we wrote a thing, like an article.
Which was in,
Which
but
was
no
in,
photo.
but then she didn't put any photographs with it, despite me
that's
giving
no good.
photographs. So she stuck it on the back page,
That's
no
a good idea.
photos.
Prime site, but no photos.
It was just
Yeah, well,
rubbish.
I need a home.
So, yeah,
Did you talk to Bronwyn about that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
so it's
So
paid,
this
it's
is the-
advertising, right, and we're not paying for it,
Well,
so
that's
I
it.
totally get that she's
Yeah.
not, she's
Yeah.
not gonna use her editorial space for
Yeah.
editorial stuff.
So, and our page is always so crammed with stuff that we never have enough room. So it's tricky to get things in, but.
You take all those notices out, all these.
I know, I keep saying
variants.
that. These aren't important, take them
Yeah.
out. Yeah, geez. Nobody wants to see these.
Bears in
Who
there.
cares?
All right, so
Sorry,
it's moving along. Are you gonna try to put something on the ferry too? And
I think so, yeah, if
Yeah.
we print that up, I'll give them
Oh.
you the leaflets and the bear poster.
I'll give, yeah, the
Yeah.
bear poster and the
Yeah.
leaflets, and I'll
Yeah.
ask Gilly to post.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, thanks. So, fingers crossed, and people get to take home some of these lovely little cuties. They're very sweet.
take one.
I haven't decided which
If you can
one I
wrestle
want.
it out
How
of
much-
Shauna's hands, that's
That's right, true that. True that. Okay, so is that it for the bear
Yeah.
acknowledgement? Has anybody else got any comments on that?
I'm just wondering if we can find clarification around the rules moving towards a referendum. Is there a way we can determine or ask somebody to let us know?
Well, I can pull up the one we did. for
Well, we're just gonna go back to that with this schedule.
Yeah,
and
but
all
This
that,
is for
but-
AAP.
But it is for an
Yeah,
AAP, so
yeah.
there's certain parts of that
Yeah.
that will change.
And I appreciate that's a schedule, but I'm really curious to find out
There
what
was a
the
bunch of-
restrictions might or might not
Yeah,
be.
so there was an.
That's
award
gonna impact our
Kathy and
activities.
Hope will know what
Yeah,
those are.
yeah.
Could we,
Because, well, probably better ask Hope rather than Kathy, I guess.
Yeah, just check with, somebody check with Hope and
Yeah.
she can give you a pretty good,
so should we give that as a?
An action item?
thing?
Yeah.
That we, I mean, that's a schedule that could be worked up and sent out by email. but-
Oh, sure.
and Let's
Just-
just
but I
make,
think the more
Feels like
important part
directing
to your
staff.
point, Jackie, is that we understand what can be done in those periods.
yeah, so if you
That's all.
find the one we did for the fire hall,
Yeah,
then you can just change the dates and make an assumption that we heard on December the 15th or something, and you just plop away.
Because
Yeah.
we will be,
Yeah.
except for it won't be me, but we will be needing to schedule all those
Yes.
communications activities, and so we need to know those for the
That's why I'm
timeline.
saying we need to figure out when we can start.
yeah.
Are you acting CAO, Raj?
I am,
Okay, so we can ask Hope to provide a
yes,
timeline? Okay.
yeah.
Like the sobering part of this almost is the time lag between like approval. So in theory, the AAP process in this schedule is done in
4 to 6
September,
weeks, yeah.
right? But
You've
the
got a
actual,
30.
but it's not till February till it's in the
Yeah.
legislature,
Yeah.
right? So
yeah.
it's like regardless of, you know, the referendum's got a bigger step 3,
Yeah.
but it's still like there's still this whole chunk of time that's there.
So it's, yeah, so you're probably not going to, if you find out, for example,
December
approval
15th, say.
in December, you're not, the MFA only releases funds twice a year. You're not going to get in until the earliest to the fall. You're not gonna receive the funds until fall, so which is, so it's, they only do a fall issue and a spring issue. So there's a lot of preparation ahead of time in terms of, you know, receiving the funds after. And the only unknown here, and I was gonna check with Hope, but she wasn't in her office, was the approval of the electors, like for the alternative approval process, is 4 to 6 weeks. Would it be 4 to 6 weeks for a referendum if we were doing a referendum, or would it be 12 weeks? I don't know
No,
the
it
answer
would
to
be,
that.
there's a timeline where from,
Okay.
you've gotta hold the actual
Yeah.
referendum within a certain number of
Yeah.
days of the inspector giving his approval.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to work backward, because when was MFA's gonna ask for the information?
So what you can see from here is essentially roughly, there's about a 6-month time lag from when you would receive the funds
From when you
from
start the
when you
process?
actually start your process. Okay.
So does that mean we can't start building until we get the funds?
It's only.
Well, no,
Or
once-
they've already approved, right?
You can start building
Because we'll have $8
because you'll
billion
have, hopefully you'll have
already
grant
from the
funds and you
province.
can carry
Yeah.
forward. You just won't
10
receive
billion.
the money until
Yeah.
6 months afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
And
Yeah.
that's an interesting one from a cash flow perspective, because on the grant,
You gotta spend the money
do we
first.
spend the money first and then?
We said that we would spend the borrowed money last. We told the community that,
Okay.
because
That's
we don't
No.
wanna spend more
But-
or
Yeah.
borrow
But
more
Raj,
than we
from
actually
a cash
need.
flow perspective, do we spend the money and then apply to the province and the feds to get it back?
Yes.
In which case, you know, we're
Or
short of
they-
cash from January to June.
Yeah.
Or are they advancing you funds? I mean, I don't
No.
know the
But you
answer to
do-
that
you
in terms
do-
of like, for our water treatment plant,
You got
we've
it
got
back.
1.9 of the $3.8 million, so the feds forwarded the money, whereas the
Okay.
province is actually requiring us, as we spend it, we claim it. So we're not having to wait till the end.
No.
Okay,
We're
so
receiving
we
it
might
as
get
we
the
spend
federal
it.
money.
Yeah.
So-
Usually you do
So-
monthly.
Oh, no, we don't have to wait till the
Oh,
end.
yeah, not
We do
till
have
the
to spend
end.
the money
But
first.
if you're spending up front, I mean, I don't know what our spending would be like, we would probably be able to do that as long as we're making claims on a regular basis
They're
and being
paying on a timely
reimbursed.
basis.
But there is no way we could wait until the end
No,
of the
no.
project
No, of course not.
to receive the funding.
Right.
And I don't think they would do that in a project on this scope. I
No.
don't know the terms of the, grant would be.
And I don't think it was covered in the, I don't remember seeing
I
anything. in it,
don't remember
But I don't
either.
remember specifically looking either, so.
But we did do a cash flow with the grant application, remember? That's, yeah,
Mhm.
so it's in there, what we'd be drawing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, they had the
They're aware of
construction
that.
costs, yeah, they had
Yeah.
the draws, for sure.
Okay, well, let's just confirm some of those timelines with both anybody.
So I'm just asking her for a timeline for the referendum, starting when, like,
Well, let's say.
December
I'm attaching this,
December
to give an
15th.
example, you want it to look like that?
No, we
No.
want to look like the one she did for the fire hall.
Well, it's gonna look like that, except
No,
you just
I don't
won't,
know.
it won't be an AAP. yeah.
No, an RFP timeline like you did for the fire hall.
Okay, so, similar to the RFP,
Well, it wasn't an RFP.
No, 10,
AAP,
no,
referendum.
a
No,
referendum
referendum.
timeline. We had a referendum for the fire hall.
Yeah.
And she's got a timeline all worked out, you just have to change the date.
Yeah.
Including.
Starting,
Well, that's all.
Well, December 15th, you really want a date, but if she's got that timeline, we can just plug in any date we want, take it from there.
okay,
But you could assume December the 15th or something.
I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, they're not gonna leave it too late.
Well, they said late 2019
If they delay beyond that.
on their website.
Well, then it'd be really big.
Yeah, really.
But I'm assuming it wouldn't be later than the 15th because they probably recessed for Christmas.
Yeah.
I think it would be later.
It's gonna be another life then.
You okay with that, sir?
Done.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, are we happy to move on to 5.5, which, whatever it is now, to the closed meeting?
Move to a closed meeting, yes.
I move.
Okay, you gotta move the recommendation then.
Gotta read it out loud, check it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that the community center select steering committee moved to a closed meeting pursuant to community charter section 91K.
Which is,
Negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that, in the view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public.
that was very pleasant.
Very theatrical.